the god of mischief, Loki himself, gets his own TV series after the events of Endgame. We've seen what happened to Loki in Infinity War. And then if you've seen Endgame, you've seen that Loki escape. You want to know what that Loki been up to? Well, welcome to this season of Movie Breakdown Series Review of Loki. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdown Series Review. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And with Movie Breakdown Series Review, we look at a series, give it a grade A through F, look at each individual season, give each one that grade, and then overall encompassing grade at the end of it all. And it is a series when we review maybe anime, TV shows, whatever it can be, movie series, put in the comments below, and I get to it best I can. Also Patreon/Ali Zakka, where you can jump in front of everybody and request me to do any show, any series, any season, give it a grade A through F, and you get it out there before everybody else does. Also on my Patreon, you get trade reactions, trade reviews, and much more stuff. Now, let's go and get into today's episode and we break down a series review of Loki. Now, heads up, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen Loki, go watch it. It's only 6 episodes ranging from 40 minutes to an hour, so it's on Disney Plus. Go watch it now if you haven't seen it yet. I highly recommend it. Now, for those who have seen Loki and been around through the whole 6 episodes, welcome. Let's go ahead and jump into it. First thoughts, I enjoyed this show. I enjoyed it. From episode 1 to episode 6, episode 3, if not 4, I think it was 3, kind of had me like, but episode 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2, I was zoomed in on, because I just love the way it built up. I love the character development. I love the ideals of like what your reality is real, or if somebody believes something, then it's real to them, versus like, okay, what you're believing in, where I believe in, are two different things, but we both believe it's for the greater good, and we both have strong beliefs in it, and by it being for the greater good, it's not causing harm or damage, we're capable for believing it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love those conversations, especially between Loki and Morbius. I love those conversations they had, and for the most part, action-wise in this series, it's not, things happen, but it's not like your mostly Marvel movie where there's this giant fight between two characters. No, it's pretty much a lot of talking, trying to figure out what's going on, searching, disputes, and it's more of a mental battle and the mental talk between each other. That kind of like Death Note in a sense, where you've seen Death Note, the anime, where there's not that much action, but the tense, the writing, the set piece and the plot that make it happen, where there's tension between characters and you want to know how is it going to play out. This show does that, and it's so great. The only episode that I wasn't a fan of was episode between Sylvie and Loki, where they were stuck on a planet and they were trying to find a way to get off, and you knew they were going to get off because you know there's more, episodes, so it was just like it's a matter of time. But I guess you didn't know how it was going to play out. You knew the end results, but you didn't know how it was going to get to the end results. And I guess that was the one thing I was like, I felt like they're dragging this episode along, but I know why they had this episode, to build up a certain character that you might not get attached to in this episode, but the next episode you're like, okay, I'm all in with this. And what's the show about? Well, like I said in my opener, you're following Loki from Endgame. You're following his adventure. He escapes with the Tesseract, but then gets picked up by these timekeepers who keeps everything in control, or like timekeepers patrol. They keep everything in control. If you break what's the actual current order of life or how things should play out, then you get put into this place where you get like pretty much like erased and put back into your time zone. So Loki gets kidnapped or gets taken from the time zone, put into what's called a TVA, and he learns about himself. He learns about all the events that happen in Dark the Dark Elf, no, Dark World, Thor Dark World. He learns about Ragnarok. He learns about what his end in the Infinity War movie. And he was like, well, the Avengers were back in time. They messed up the time flow. And they was like, actually, what the Avengers did was the right thing. That's how it should play out. What you did, Loki, taking the Tesseract and leaving, is what caused everything to go out of whack. But one guy named Morbius, who's played by Owen Wilson, who does a phenomenal job this season, by the way, he wants Loki to chase down another variant of himself. So this another Loki who was taken from her time has been hiding out in these apocalypses and jumping from place to place to try to survive. And Loki figures out, like, when you're in an apocalypse area, for example, they use Pompeii in the TV show, no matter what you do in that time frame before the events of the apocalypse, nothing changed. It doesn't alert anything because in the time is there. An apocalypse could be a giant tidal wave. It could be a planet crash to Earth. It could be something like Thanos. Whatever happens, like at that point in time, you can be in an area, and if you get out before the apocalypse completely hits, you're fine. But if you stay there, you actually will die. So it's kind of funny when it's like playing around. It's like, all right, gotta get out of here before, you know, Pompeii kills us all. But they figure out how to track down the variant. And the variant Loki that you meet end up being a character named Sylvie, who is pretty much Loki, but the female version of him. And Loki then finds out there's different versions of himself throughout the timeline, different multiverses. So you get this whole world that's already big expands even bigger in this series. And they're trying to figure out a way to bring down the timekeeper who keeps everything in order, when Sylvie reveals that actually the people who works for the TVA are actually normal people who was kidnapped from their timelines and was used to be kind of like policing the police of the time loop, or the time flow, the flow of time. They put to make sure everything stays the way it should be. If anything breaks out or changes, they go kidnap them or take them from the time and reset them, put them back into their actual spot. That's how it should have been. But then from there it gets more crazier, where Loki and Sylvie end up fighting the timekeepers, and that leads to a whole nother piece where they meet the person at the end of time. And that episode, the last episode of the season, is really, really great. And it sets up a whole new world for the Marvel Universe that you're like, okay, we have a new bad guy coming, and it's not who you think it is, but you know what? I'm down for it. I am down for it. Besides episode 3 of this season, I enjoyed this all. I enjoyed the very first episode, which I thought was a great setup. I enjoyed them figuring out who the variant is. I enjoyed the back and forth Loki and Sylvie have throughout the rest of the season once they meet each other. I enjoyed that. Now, the relationship aspect between the two characters, I'm not sure how much of it really growed on me, but this is the first season. Spoiler alert coming here, there will be a second season for Loki. Matter of fact, it probably will be the first Marvel series that's going to have its second season with this new MCU timeline stuff. So I'm curious to see what happens in the second season with Loki and Sylvie. But as far as this, you can see that one character definitely has emotion for the other, and the other one might have emotions. We don't really know. And one cool thing I will talk about this is the point of trust, which we get into characters. I will talk about that part for sure. But the relationship aspect of the show, it's there, but it's not that strong. And the whole timekeeper thing is probably the biggest piece of the show that makes everything flow and go. Now let's talk about characters. First, I want to talk about the director, who is Kate Herron. I thought she did a great job with these 6 episodes. Solid piece. Besides, like the third episode, which it was made to be a break in the series, which is good, and it's also made to show more light on Sylvie and where she comes from. But just them being on the planet, I don't know, it's like the tension's already gone. I knew they were going to survive somehow. But other than that, I think it was really just made to show that Loki and Sylvie has a connection there, and that's what that is for. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, phenomenal, great. He's been great since he been Loki in the very first Thor movie. He is one of my favorite MCU characters. In this version of Loki, after seeing what happens, he doesn't want to be a villain anymore. He's like, I'm done being a villain. I just want to be a person. I don't care if it's good or bad. I just want to live my life and stop losing. Because throughout the series, they talk about how Loki's a loser. He always loses no matter what. And they talk about how his mischievous mindset causes harm to others. He's like, I don't really want to harm anybody. I just think it's fun. And when he sees the harm that his fun causes, he's like, I don't want to be a villain. I don't want to be that. And he wants to help people to trust him, but he's cunning, so his natural thing is go back to lying and trying to betray people when he just wants to get people to trust him. It's a pretty cool concept there, and I love it, and I love how Loki's trying to fight himself at the same time, gain people's trust, and like, no, I am telling the truth. I'm not a bad person. Trust me, please. I know my past doesn't show it well, and there's actually a time loop where he goes through and he has to keep experiencing one of his moments he has in life, which I enjoy that. I really do. I'm gonna mess her name up, but Gugu Mbatha Raw, who plays Ravonna, the Renslayer, thought she was fine. I'm curious to see what happens in the future with her, but for the most part, I thought she was fine. Sophia Di Martino, who plays Sylvie, thought she did great as well. Like, you knew she was a confident, strong character. You've seen when she was like, I got this plan, I want to do this. And the way they built her up to make sure that like she is a confident, strong character. And when she gets revealed, she doesn't lose that confidence. She doesn't lose that strength. Some shows you watch, when the character gets revealed, the hidden character gets revealed, they kind of like fall a few steps and not as strong or powerful they used to be. No, she still stays as strong as powerful as she was in episode 1 when you see her at the end, and you give props to that. I'm glad Kate did not like downgrade her character just by revealing who she is for the sake of plot. No, she's still just as strong, still just as confident, and it works. I thought Sophia did a good job being Sylvie, and I want to see more of her. Owen Wilson, who plays Mobius, phenomenal. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, back and forth, phenomenal. When they play off each other, they go back and forth in certain scenes and them like testing each other. It is amazing. Mobius is such a great character in this series. I love his character. I love the energy Owen Wilson brings to him, and he really seems like somebody who's generally cared and conflicted at certain points. Great, solid. I would love to see it like a buddy story between Loki, Sylvie, and Mobius all in one area, because I think they did it phenomenal. Wumi Mosaku, who plays B-15, who's a hunter, thought she did a great job. She was at first like this strong, confident person until she gets her past back, and then she breaks down. She's like, you can see her break down. You can see her being like strong and confident. She's like, I'm actually, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like, she wasn't being as militant anymore. She actually had like a little piece of humanity back in her. I thought she did a great job. And this little scenes with her going back and forth, solid. Tara Strong, who's been in multiple cartoons, multiple voice acting stuff, who played Miss Minutes, great. And Tara's just phenomenal. I just gotta give a shout out to her. And then, last but not least, if I want to talk about him, you know what, for one episode, He Who Remains, who played by Jonathan Majors, phenomenal. And Jonathan Majors, who for one episode came in, was solid. He gave you everything. He gave you all of like his acting and gave you 100%, his smirks, his smiles, his reaction, his looks to certain stuff. Phenomenal. And I'm hopefully we get to see more of him, because I'm excited to see what he can be like in different roles. And we might get to see that. He might not just be that one note character. He could be something else. So I'm excited for that. As far as everything else, music in this show is phenomenal. I enjoy the music. I enjoy the original soundtrack for Loki. And the set pieces and animation and CGI, phenomenal. There's a scene where older Loki is like setting up a version of Asgard just from his own powers, and he's making this giant replica of Asgard, and it is amazing. It is a really cool action sequence where I got goosebumps watching it, and just to see the whole design, the angle of him lifting up Asgard, it is completely phenomenal. I don't know what else to describe it. I think this show you should watch. It's a definitely TV show you should follow. If somebody who love the MCU, watch this one and just be enticed into it, because it is a phenomenal show. Solid. Alright, grading time. I'm gonna grade Loki season 1 a B+. This gives a B+ for me. The only reason why, because episode 3 kind of falls off for me, so it's not a complete A, but it's a B+. I enjoy this. I was a part of every single piece of it. I enjoyed every single action sequence, every single soundtrack, every single tension, every single conversation. The last episode was solid. The first episode was solid. It's great. If you've seen Loki season 1, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode where we break down season review, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episode of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of movie breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time, and keep being awesome.